Adam Riches is on 4Extra next Wednesday night at 11:30.
I think finding a new podcast is a bit like going to the supermarket when you're really hungry. Eat an entire cheese on your way home and then feel too sick to do anything else. Or is that just me? On BBC Radio 4 Extra, Podcast Radio Hour is a new series for anyone who's looking for their next favourite podcast. We'll showcase the most popular series that everyone's talking about, alongside lesser-known hidden gems just waiting to be discovered. Join me, Amanda Litherland, and my guest each week as we share recommendations and chat to the people behind the podcasts. Podcast Radio Hour, Friday nights at 9 on BBC Radio 4 Extra. BBC Radio 4 Extra.
Friday morning's classic comedy hour is on right now. Welcome to 4Extra at 8 o'clock. I'm Wes Butters, and some excellent laugh-out-loud shows are on the way. John Cleese and the gang are back from Sorry, I'll Read That Again, followed by Robert Lindsay as the single dad struggling to find work and raise his young son. And at last, he's been offered a job. But where will he find a babysitter? Albert and Me continues in 30 minutes. Now then, as you know, we at 4Extra do a cracking job scouring the BBC archive, but it turns out it's nothing new. What? Back in 1967, they were doing it as well.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Memory Lane. Another of the go-ahead, forward-looking new-style programmes consisting of material dredged up from the BBC Sound Archives. We found some absolutely fascinating recordings, but we didn't manage to unearth enough really tedious old rubbish to fill this programme. Listen now to the first of our voices from the Sound Archive.
Get out of my ruddy archive!
That was the voice of Horace Tapfinger, the curator of the BBC Sound Archives. However, we were very lucky to find an extremely rare recording. The voice of William Ewart Gladstone at the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Victoria, singing one of his own compositions.
She's my sing-a-ling choo-choo baby. She's my sing-a-ling choo-choo gal. She's my top-notch extra. She's my chicky-chicka-bitty pal. She has found her way into my heart. And like a slice of rhubarb, that is really like a slice of rhubarb. We are not the mill.
Finally, an early recording of a famous piece of music.
At the end of the street,
Whenever this
turn
piece
right.
is played, the audience rise and leave the room. Back into the murky past to bring you the historic voices of Tim Bodicea Taylor, David Goliath Hatch, Joe Roman Kendall, William Shakespeare Oddie, and in place of Bad King John Cleese was unwell, Graham Lord Kitchener-Gunn. And here to bring them all to life is the rich man's John Otto Cleese, Graham Blotto Gunn.
Oh no, it's I'm sorry, I'll read that again. Is that all right?
Daddy's taking us to the zoo
Turn
tomorrow.
right
Zoo
onto Bath
tomorrow.
Road,
Zoo
then
tomorrow.
enter the
Daddy's taking
roundabout.
us to the zoo tomorrow. We can stay all day. We're going to the zoo. How about you? You can come too. We're going to the zoo.
Anybody in any doubt where we're going? It's zoo
At the
time.
roundabout, take the
And
first
today, I'm
exit
speaking
to
direct from
Charnham
the
Street.
Monkeys on an outside broadcast, or as we say in the BBC, No, that's the Monkeys. And first of all, a word from Alistair Mushroom, who has spent his whole life amongst the Yanks of
Continue
Tibet.
on Charnham Street.
And now I have with me the head keeper. What a wonderful collection of heads you've got. Well, you certainly have a lot of lovely animals here. And a lot of hideous ones.
Yes, haven't we? How about those two over there? You know, those two that look as if they're just about to...
Yes. wildebeest?
Any minute, I should think.
And how about this cage here?
That's a grey seal.
Oh, there's another one just outside the gents.
That's a privy seal. And he wishes he were dead.
Yeah. We're now arriving at the Pets Corner. Over there are trips on llama carts at 10 and 6 a minute, and lots of children are being taken for a ride. That's 10 and 6 a minute, yeah. And here is George playing with the pet of the month. And now George is going to tell us about house training.
Yes, well, houses are notoriously difficult to train. So start on a bungalow. And when you've got that under control, I advise you to get a nice big dog. But make sure it's smaller than the bungalow. I've given my dog a little tray. And he sells matches down the Portobello Road. Now, always remember to get the best out of your dog. Take a carving knife, smear out the middle, then scoop out.
Yes. Well, George, I expect many of our listeners own a tortoise like me.
No, they're much prettier.
I'm sure, like mine, their pets at the start of last winter crawled under a pile of dead leaves, curled up inside their shells, and have stayed there quite still for several months. Now, in the animal world, there's a word for this.
Yes, they are what we zoologists call dead.
Yes. Yeah, also, lots of children I know have more than one pet at home. Now, how about mating?
Yeah, well, don't do it in front of the pets. Now then, to make an okapi burger, first scoop out.
And finally, here are some readers' queries.
Dear sir, my mother has a great problem looking after 9 rather old cats. How about a tip?
Yes, there's a municipal old cat tip just behind her engagement.
Dear sir, how would you dress
Oil and vinegar, then scoop out.
Yes. Next week, we shall tell you how to make your aardvark soft again. And we'll also be seeing the bears in the bear pit, the snakes in the snake pit, and the hares in the armpit. Now, we were hoping to get all the animals to sing an amazingly boring song about Julie Felix. But instead, here is one of the few remaining singing men in captivity.
I've just been at the zoo. There were animals in there too. I heard them growl, I heard them howl. Who tells them what to do? Oh, which does what and why? Who'll give me a reply? Oh, why does a pussycat go meow? A parrot squawk and a dog bow wow? Why should it be? Why is it so? I want to know. Oh, why doesn't a bird go and an elephant go tweet? And wouldn't it be spectacular if a lamb went eat and a mouse went there? Trees them brown, what a sound, oh, wouldn't it be sweet? Why doesn't a bird go and an elephant go tweet? Not my fault. Why doesn't I? Oh, moo cows live in herds, and flocks are for the birds. Why should it be? It wasn't me who chose those silly words. A gaggle or a flight, who says what's wrong or right? I think myself it would be nice if we could have a bride of mice, a swarm of dog, or a shoal of cat. And if it comes to that, why shouldn't a cow go and a bumblebee go? Oh, would it be against the law if a crow went and a goose went? Wouldn't it be bliss if an owl went and a cobra went? Woo woo! Why shouldn't a cow go and a bumblebee go? Why shouldn't a duck go? Why shouldn't a wolf go? Why shouldn't a donkey go? Why shouldn't a hen go? Thank you. And it seems to me a terrible thing that a man could only talk and sing. Just think of the happiness it would bring if we could all
Fires are notoriously hot and dangerous, unless they're out, in which case they're neither. But what happens if you have a fire in your house?
You can make lovely toast.
Shut up.
Help, fire.
Quick, bring the brigade!
Oh, yes, right.
Hello, brigade speaking.
Oh, look quickly, my house is on fire.
Right, You know how they go on. Could I get Mr. Bun the baker? I could not. Now let's get things organised. Pour on water. I don't think we've got any buckets.
No.
Well, you should have. You should take precautions. You're not a wise virgin, are you? Yes.
And no.
You're not on the sea, so where do you get your water?
From a tap.
Splendid idea. Where is it?
In the blazing house.
Language. Now, what we need is water. Any chance of rain, do you think?
For Pete's sake, get some hoses and get going.
Hoses? Good thinking. I've got one at home. I'll get off and push it. Better still, I'll push off and get it. I don't want to set the world on fire. Oh, look what I've got. I've got an axe.
What the blazes is the use of an axe?
You can chop things with axes.
Yes, I know.
I mean, if this were a forest fire, I could chop down trees. Since it's a house, I can chop anything. Chop, 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 chop. Anyway, before we get cracking, I think I'll just have a fag. What I say is there's no fire without a smoke. London's burning, London's burning.
Yeah. Are you in charge here?
Yes, isn't it fun? It's my first, you know. I was a chef before I joined up. Out of the frying pan into the fire. It's a good one, hasn't it? Funny, it never gets a laugh. You know, you've got a fabulous crowd here. I think they will be very disappointed if we put it out. I know. Have you got any paraffin?
Paraffin?
Well, I'm going to put the fire out. Oh, it seems a shame. It's beginning to burn up beautifully. It's a lovely car. Oh, there goes the garage. We say there goes the caravan. And your wife. Anyway, can't just stand here chatting. I've got another fire to go to. This one. Bye.
All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, the cuddly and the furry ones, I love to eat them all. I am a carnivore, and I'm proud to say I eat meat for breakfast, tea, and dinner every day. I am a carnivore, I cannot deny it. Moo cows, pigs, and bar lambs are my staple diet. It is not perverted, it is not a crime. I know lots of people who do it all the time. I should say so. I am a carnivore, and I'm glad to say there are many other carnivores gathered here today. Fellow carnivores, we meet again. It touches my heart to be in a nice joint like this. It really is a lovely place, and I'm so glad we can fill it. If I only reveal it, I know many of us live a foul life. We get in some terrible stews, but there's a lot at stake. So let's not duck our responsibilities. Let's have no more beefing, because the next one's for the job. And now, let us join together in a little song entitled Sirloin, It's Been Good to Know You. When my sheep comes in, all together now. We are carnivores. We want the world to know. Better hide our livestock. Chomp, 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 we are carnivorous together. I've been one all my life.
Grimbling, the original gentleman's gentleman.
Come, excuse me, sir.
What ho, Grimbling?
There's a gentleman to see you, sir.
Oh, I say, Grimbling, I'm in the middle of my breakfast.
Yes, I noticed you've fallen in the porridge.
Well, you'd better tell him to come in.
I don't think there's room for you both in the porridge bowl, sir. But anyway, here he comes now, Mr. Foodle Steve Baskerville Hatch.
I say, what ho, Bertie? I say, what ho, Foodles? Hip hip, ching ching. Bun ho, plonk to plonk. Dickety ding dong. Fiddle toodly pip. Bye. Bye. I say, Bertie, I forgot I had something to tell you. Fact is, you've got to help me, old thing. I'm in a bit of a jam. That's nothing. I'm in a bowl of porridge. No. The thing is, Obi, I've got engaged to a forest girl. Oh, I say, congratulations, Elfie. Yes, well, everything's all nailed down and tickety-boo, except that my old mater, the Duchess of Poole, disapproves of my jolly old betrothed, and flatly refuses to cough up the necessary £3 million for the honeymoon, what? Anyway, we're all going up to Coverlet Manor for the weekend, and I was wondering if you and Grimbling could come up and help sort things out. Do say you'll come. You'll enjoy it, you know. There's going to be oodles of hunting and shooting and fishing, and lots of food and drink and ravishing young girls. Well, I'm not much good at ravishing young girls. Go on, Bertie. Say you will. I will.
I now pronounce you man and what?
Grimbling, that's not very funny.
Wait till you get on the honeymoon.
Grimbling! Get to my overnight bag.
She's gone out to the shop.
Turn left onto Salisbury
Very well,
Road,
just
then take the second
pajamas,
left.
Yes, sir.
a toothbrush,
Yes, sir.
dinner jacket,
Yes, sir.
and don't forget my hoe.
Oh, what ho, sir?
What hoe, Grimbling? Coverlet Manor, home of Lady Constance de Coverlet, lies amidst rolling parklands, nestled in the very bosom of Bowling. Did somebody call?
Turn left onto Salisbury Road, then take the second left.
Hello, Auntie.
Ah, Bertram, how nice to see you. Let me introduce you to the Dowager Duchess of Prune.
Oh, how do you do?
Pleased to meet you, young fella, me lad. How would you like a nice cant around the park?
Oh, rather.
Righto then, I'll go and get me saddle on. Wait a minute, who's this?
This is Grimbling, my valet.
Oh, yes. Last time I saw him, he was looking very sick.
Really? How green was my valet? Bertie Brown Windsor and Footle's Stick Baskerville Hatch spent the afternoon playing
Turn
tennis.
left onto
Suddenly, Grimbling
Briarsfield,
rushed out onto
then
the court,
take the
snatched up a
second
tennis
right.
racket, and hit a large plate of egg and chips over the net.
Dinner is served, gentlemen.
Five minutes later in the dining room, the guests assembled themselves.
Oh, excuse me, but I think that's my leg you've got there. Anyone seen my arm?
This bit doesn't seem to fit anywhere. What?
After dinner, the guests went outside to enjoy the last of the day's sunshine.
I say, Lady Constance, what a spiffing patio.
Oh, I didn't have chance. Here comes my husband. Godfrey.
Straight in the middle.
He'll be with us from home.
Hello, my dear. Oh, I'm just off to look at my pig.
He spends looking and his prize ball.